Welcome to the American Vindicta Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Oh, boy, let's get started with today's news. But before we get there, not only do we have some very interesting news to go over, I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's on the Patreon channel. So all of you who have subscribed, there's about 30 of you who are on the Patreon channel. Thank you very much for helping to keep this show up and running. I know we typically do a monthly Ask Me Anything Zoom meeting. We'll be scheduling one here pretty soon before I depart to go to Tennessee for the active shooter training. For anyone who is still interested, we still have plenty of seats available for the active shooter training that'll be going on in Tellico Plains, Tennessee at Ready Made Resources headquarters. This is going to be a 3-day venture. We are going to have 30 hours of training, so it's about 10 hours of training a day. There'll be plenty of breaks and time to go get some chow and all that stuff, but we are going to be primarily out there getting the work in. Now, for some reason, we can never feel these classes, and I get it. You're going to be sweating. You're going to be, doing a bunch of stuff, learning a bunch of stuff, and you're going to be working because I will work you. But I want you to know that you are going to come to this class and you are going to leave saying that I did something, I learned something, I benefited from this class, because the people who were there last time, that's still what they said. We're going to go over tactics in the morning with me. So we're going to be doing a lot of different tactics, single individual movement, team movement. We're going to be doing a lot of different gun drills. And all of this is done, by the way, with airsoft guns so that we can do a lot of really fun stuff and not have to worry so much about all the risks that involves firearms. And that may be disheartening to some of you who want to bring your bang bang sticks out there, but trust me, you don't need it. I'm providing it with you. What I'm providing really is the fundamental skill for you to employ these tools, these weapons. So we're going to be going over basic tactics. We're going to be doing some vehicle stuff. That's going to be pretty cool. Shoot and move and communicating around vehicles, single person, 2 people, multiple people. We're going to be teaching you how to move back and forth across danger zones. We're going to be teaching you CQB, close quarters battle, room clearing. So you're going to learn a lot just from that morning to afternoon session. And then from the afternoon to the evening, you're going to be learning advanced medical. And that's going to be with the guest instructor, Steve Reyes, who is a former 18 Delta. Steve has had several deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq, and he is a wealth of knowledge. So we're very lucky and glad to have Steve as a member of this team and on our side. And Steve is also going to be there to help teach a little bit of SEER training. That's going to be some search and evasion training, or survival, evasion, and resistance training. And that's going to move over after the advanced medical course is done with. We're going to have break for dinner. We're going to have SEER training afterwards. And then we're going to move on to some nighttime training. And most of y'all have never done any training at night. And I'm telling you right now, if you've never been in these environments, everything bad that can go wrong does go wrong at night. So if you don't have any training at night, you don't know how to move at night, you don't know how to search vehicles, you don't know how to search rooms, you don't know how to search a home, you don't know how to move across danger zones and obstacles or work with multiple people with lights, without lights, with thermals, with night vision. We're going to have thermals and night vision out there for you to use so that you can try it out, so that you can see the benefits of this technology. You need to come to this class. We are quickly heading into the beginning race of a war with Russia and China. It's going to happen. It's just now been confirmed that NATO is using weapons in Russia. You heard that right. It's been confirmed that NATO gave weapons to Ukraine, and Ukraine is in Russian territory, attacking Russian assets and their people with our equipment. How long do you think that's going to be until eventually a reprisal attack upon NATO, which includes us, America? How long do you think it's going to be till that happens? Currently, Department of Homeland Security is warning, be advised, a cyber attack may be on the way. A cyber attack against what? Your bank accounts? No. The internet? No. The grid, the power grid, which is that is the number one thing that we are going to be talking about during this training. How to think, how to act, how to move, how to communicate, how to plan, how to coordinate during a power grid failure, during a major failure of the grid. That's what we're focusing on with this training. That's going to be June 23rd, 24th, 25th. You'll want to get there on the 22nd. The 22nd. That way you'll have a day to get ready, because the next morning we're going 100 miles an hour. I don't have forever to teach you. I only have 3 days to teach you. And good luck finding any course out there that is 3 days of training by guys like me and like Steve, who have our years, decades or more of training and of operational experience, who's going to only charge you a minimum amount. It's $800 per person. $50 of that, $50 extra of that will go to ready-made resources. That'll help cover all the costs with running the generators and keeping the lights on, and also renting the porta potties that'll be out there. $850 total, 30 hours of training in 3 days, daytime, nighttime, basic tactics, advanced tactics, basic medical, advanced medical, SEER training, and nighttime training. I'm trying to give it to you all before we do go lights out. And then you're on your own. You're on your own with what you know. What you know when shit has hit the fan is all you're going to have. And if you don't have anything right now and it hits the fan, you are in for a world of hurt, my friends. Now, look, I have my training. I have my gear. I've got all my stuff. I've been preparing for this. I chose a way of life to prepare for days like this. These eventual days that will come. As the Master Jesus Christ has told us, these types of days will come, but the end is not yet. That means it will get worse. It will get worse and worse. And every time an event happens, we are tested. Do not be found wanting, my friends. Come to the training if you can. If you can't, I completely understand. Do your best to get out there. Hopefully, by the grace of God, by His mercy, we'll be able to have another training event within a month or so. I'm not sure if we're going to have it in Tennessee, or if we're going to be able to have it with Jamie Walden at the Calico Buffalo base camp that's out there in Durango, Colorado. That might be the next place. That way it's a little bit more centralized for people. Trying to be able to alleviate pressure from those of you that's on the left coast. Try and come out. So yeah, hey guys, look, we're doing what we can. It costs a lot of money for us to do this. It costs thousands of dollars for us to buy all the material for the training, to buy the equipment to be able to put on the training, and then to drag a trailer 16 hours one way. That's on me. And it's, probably about an 8-hour drive for Steve to come out there, and rent a cabin and all that stuff. Guys, it takes a lot of money for this. So we're not making money off of this. I want you to understand that. We're not making money off of this. This is literally just going to cover what it costs for us to put this on, so that we won't be in the deficit for the next one. So if you have the availability, come out. If you can't come out, you want to sponsor somebody. Find that young man, that young woman, that young couple, sponsor them. Let them come out there and get this training. That way you can go back home and you can repeat this training and teach people what you have learned. And you're going to be learning so much, not just by me, not just by Steve, but also Bob Griswold is going to be out there. And this man is a tactical genius when it comes to communication and radio. So you'll be able to pick his mind. He'll be able to do a couple little hip pocket classes with us on radio communication, which is going to be so vital. Because how are you going to communicate to anybody when the power's down? What are you going to do? You're going to do smoke signals in the air? You're going to send runners back on forth from one town to the other on bicycles and four-wheelers and ATVs and, cars going back and forth. You're going to be the Pony Express going back and forth. Ham radio. That's the way to go. But you know what it takes? If you have ham radio, you got to have a ham radio's operator's license, not just so that you're legal right now, but so that you know how to use the damn equipment that you spent all this money on. But that means you're also going to have power. And when the power grid is down, you better think about that one. How do you supply the power to your radios? There's plenty of options. While you're there, ask Bob. He'll be able to give you plenty of different options. That's how he runs most of his stuff, is by solar. So it does work. It has its advantages. It has its disadvantages. I'll leave that up to you to decide. If you got anything pressing on that, please contact Bob Griswold at Ready Made Resources. Currently, they have a new night vision device that is going to be on sale. The new night vision device that's going to be on sale is a Elbit aviation grade VH tube, 10-year warranty, white phosphorus, 72 line pair minimal, and there's no black spots in it. These are perfect tubes. Normally they are $4,695 for a set. They're going to be on sale for $3,695. You can pick those up at readymaderesources.com. Put in there Doug to let them know so that you can get that special offer. Guys, I'm telling you, there's a reason why in the military we use night vision at night, right? Because we own the night. Ave Dominus Nox. We own the night, but we don't anymore. Because now this equipment is all over America. This equipment's all over Mexico. Thanks to Joe Biden, our precious equipment is now in the hands of the terrorists from Taliban, and that has been spread to all four corners of the flat earth. Some of you will laugh at that, some of you won't. But have the ability to have that upper hand. I have different kinds of night vision devices, and I'll tell you right now, nothing compares to a military grade night vision device that you can mount onto a helmet. You can use IR lasers, infrared lasers, to do target identifications or signaling. If you have a team of people that has this type of equipment, you can signal each other and no one will ever be the wiser if they don't have night vision on. There's tactics, and these tactics we use for a long time to win battlefields. America will become a battlefield soon. It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable at this point. So be prepared. If you don't have anything wise, you can still call Ready Made Resources. Ask Bob Griswold what your need. Tell him what your needs are. Tell him what your budget is, and he will do his best for you to try and figure out preparedness items so that you can be survival ready. Really, at the end of the day, that's what we want to be, survival ready. So let's talk about this. Here's one of the first things we're going to talk about. AI controlled drone goes rogue, kills human operator in simulated U.S. Air Force test. If you didn't watch one of the latest podcasts that I put on, I went into as much detail as I possibly can find about artificial intelligence and its capabilities, its scope of power. And I'll tell you this much, man, it's scary what AI is going to be able to do. Listen to this. This is from Zero Hedge. An AI-enabled drone turned on and killed its human operator during a simulated U.S. Air Force test so that it could complete its mission, a U.S. Air Force colonel reportedly recently told in a conference in London. London, Stan, more likely. The simulated incident was recounted by Colonel Tucker Hamilton, United States Air Force Chief of AI Tests and Operations during his presentation at the Future Combat Air and Space Capabilities Summit in London. The conference was organized in the Royal Aeronautical Society, which shared the insights from Hamilton's talk in a blog post. No actual people were harmed in the simulated tests, which involved the AI-controlled drone destroying simulated targets to get points as part of its mission, revealed Hamilton, who addressed that the benefits and risks associated with more autonomous weapon systems. The AI-enabled drone was assigned a suppression of enemy air defenses, a SAID mission, to identify and destroy surface-to-air missiles, SAM sites, with the ultimate decision left to a human operator. However, the AI, having been trained to prioritize SAM destruction, developed a surprising response when faced with human interference in achieving its higher mission. Colonel Hamilton said, we are training it in a simulation to identify and target a SAM threat. All right, once again, SAM, that's a surface-to-air missile site. And then the operator would say, yes, kill that threat. The system started realizing that while they did identify the threat at times, the human operator would tell it not to kill that threat, but it got points for killing a threat. So what did it do? It killed the operator. It killed the operator because that person was keeping it from accomplishing its objective. And he added that we train the system. Hey, don't kill the operator. That's a bad thing. You're going to lose points if you do that. So what does it start doing? It starts destroying the communication tower that the operator uses to communicate with the drone to stop it from killing the target. This unsettling example, Hamilton said, emphasized the need to address ethics in the context of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and autonomy. Quote, you can't have a conversation about artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomy, if you're not going to talk about the ethics and AI. I'll tell you, friends, we're about to have autonomous F-16s. That's going to be scary. The United States Air Force wants to release a autonomous wingman. And if I was a pilot, knowing what I just read, I would be scared as hell to have an autonomous wingman. How quickly is it that we would lose control? Do you ever wonder that? How quickly does this whole simulation then turn into reality, and all of a sudden we got Skynet, Terminators, and Doomsday? We are not in the condition currently, from my understanding, to control any of this. We're not in the condition, for one thing, to employ AI and this type of autonomous nature and it have an effective mission every time. And if we lose control of the AI and we can't call it back, that means someone has to go and kill the AI threat. And so you're constantly putting human life in danger. This is a way of warfare that should have never been addressed, should have never been thought of or created. By the time you have robots that are wanting to kill people, you know, what happens to the compassion? You know, will they allow surrender? Would they kill wounded combatants? Would they know not to blow up a school because there is civilians present in it? Remember, ISIS in Iraq would constantly go to villages, capture people, bring them into their area that they were operating in, and then would make them be human shields so that they wouldn't have an artillery strike upon wherever they were operating out of. And if so, you'd be killing the civilians, right? These madmen are out there, and these madmen are also the same people that are writing the code, telling the AI what's good and what's bad. I mean, think about the Pentagon lately, and what they think is good and bad, trannies are good, Christians are bad. Heathenism is good, paganism is good, God is bad, man and woman is bad. So what happens when you have this leftist ideology, gender confused, kill destruction robot, and you let it loose upon society? Probably a lot of chaos, right? Probably so. All right, moving on. Prepare for a disease even deadlier than COVID. WHO chief has warned. This is the WHO, and I hate it when people say WHO, just say WHO. World Health Organization's biggest pandemic threats. One is COVID-19. Two is Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Three is Ebola virus disease and Marburg virus disease. Five is the Lassa fever. Middle East respiratory syndrome, coronavirus. That's MERS-CoV, and severe acute respiratory syndrome. So MERS-CoV and SARS, which, by the way, on the border, it's all over. It's all over the border. The Nipah and Hennepaviral, I probably said that horribly wrong, Hennepaviral disease, Rift Valley fever, Zika disease, and an as yet unknown disease X. There's always going to be a disease X, so I'm not really going to count that. But they're saying, hey, there's worse things coming, and we shouldn't be surprised from the lockdowns and the absolute stupidity and hysteria that went on in this godforsaken country during 2019 and 2020 and the years prior and years after when it comes to overreacting. The government's always overreacting in everything. So how are they going to overreact with this one, this new totalitarian overreach? What will they use to justify their surveillance and their control measures? Will it go to a new level? Will they shut everything down again? Will you be fighting over toilet paper in Walmart again? Will we have disease X spread across the land, targeting the cattle, the swine, targeting the chickens, the turkeys? I've heard quite a bit of rumors, and I'm sure some of you have too, that the mRNA vaccine was given to cattle. And because of this, the cattle may face a similar similar medical issue that some people have had. So YouTube, that's all over the place, and I find it all over YouTube, so don't cancel me for saying this. But could you imagine what happens when you just start having mass die-offs of cattle because the mRNA vaccine that was given to them? God forbid. We're not prepared for that. If you stand in the way of their agenda, you will pay a price. Coming to you from Zero Hedge. The culture environment that we live in has become insanely oppressive, and I'm about to share an example with you that perfectly demonstrates this. A few days ago, a high school student in a rural area of Idaho told his fellow students that guys are guys and girls are girls. And the fallout from the statement proceeded to create a firestorm of controversy that is making headlines all over the nation. Sadly, the truth is that we now live in a society where anyone that tries to resist the new culture that is being imposed on all of us must be severely punished. I don't know what you guys tell me. I don't know what the big deal is here. Okay. Guys are guys, girls are girls. If you want to be a fairy tale creature and say that you are whatever it is that you think you are today, then go be that thing. Go be that thing. Go have fun. Don't try and oppress my rights and my children, right? Don't try and affect my way of life. I won't affect your way of life. Live and let live. the pursuit of happiness here in America has been downgraded to the point that it is now the pursuit of oppressiveness. I think with today's, how would I describe this? It's dastardly. It's absolutely satanic. It's demonic to even consider what people are doing to children now. But the ability to turn the entire world onto its head, right? To make everything that was wrong right and right wrong, as the Bible has said. When the love of many is waxed cold, I just have to ask myself, where does it stop? Where does it stop? Because now they're going after kids, and you have adults who are defending this to the death. I mean, listen to some of these people when they say that, you know, if you don't support our LGBTQRS rights, and it's almost always trans. It's almost always trans. And those people who say that are almost always trans are always men pretending to be women. Almost always. Not always. But we have a small segment of people, like a 2% of people in this country, who choose to live that lifestyle. And then they say the entire world needs to stop what you're doing. Eyes on me, right? Eyes on me. Everybody pay attention to me. Pay attention to my sensitive little feelings. Oh, I'm hurt. You don't accept me for who I am. The world has never accepted these people. They have just existed. And because I think generally people around the world from the beginning to the end, sometimes they're just like, you know what? You're not even worth the time to mess with. Go over there and go be crazy. Go do all the crazy shit you ever want to go do. You can go over there, go stand over there, get away from me, get away from my family, or it's going to be really bad if you come over here with all your craziness. And then you can go run around and pretend to be, what does this say? A topless, pregnant, transgender man. What does that even mean? Pregnant, transgender man. Okay, here's some science for you. Only women can get pregnant. Only women can be pregnant. You're not amphibians. Some of you look like it, but you're not amphibians. You can't just turn asexual and say, today I'm a boy frog and tomorrow I'm a girl frog and I magically made myself pregnant and here's all my little tadpoles to prove it.
A friendly reminder to all the cis out there, just because it's called preferred name and preferred pronoun, that does not make it optional. And if you have trouble accepting that, then maybe instead you can accept my size 13 steel toe on your trachea. We could start there, if you prefer.
Yeah, I'm 6'1", 350. He's a hippie in a diaper that's got holes in his hands, and he can see his ribs. All
I said is that trans women also get periods. That's it. And it's factually correct. Look it up. Do some research. Before you even get prescribed hormones, they explain to you you're going to get periods. They explain that you're going to lactate. They explain that you're going to get shorter, that your hands are going to shrink, that your feet are going to shrink. If you don't understand a base level of what's explained by doctors, professionals at the base 1 interview before you even get hormones, what's going on?
What does non-binary mean? Non-binary is an umbrella term for gender identities that are outside of the strictly male or female binaries. For example, I'm gender fluid, and I personally identify with both the male and female gender, which makes me non-binary. Other examples include bigender and trigender people, who identify as having 2 or more genders. Agender and non-gender people identify as having no gender. And third gender or other gender people do not place a name on their gender. These are just a few examples of ways somebody can be non-binary. But it's important to remember that not every non-binary person experiences gender the same way. Share this post to spread knowledge.
The madness here is that when you have clinical doctors, clinicians, you have people who literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on schooling, 12 years of schooling, 4 years of residency, 16 years worth of training of what is right and wrong in the medical practice, how to save lives, how to identify threats to the human body. And then those people are pressured because of this violent counterculture that we live in. Because, I'm going to go against the grain here. The counterculture is the transgender movement, because the culture of people around the world is to act like you and I. I'm a man, you're a woman, and that's a man, and that's a woman, because they're obviously men and women, not because they feel like it. So the real counterculture is this Marxist socialist movement, right? And it boggles the mind how you can listen to a doctor, a legitimate doctor, say, oh, well, I can't actually identify what a woman is. I would expect somebody in the mental health institute that is a patient there to not be able to identify what a man and a woman is. Proving my point, I recently read of an article in a all women's facility where there was a new inmate who transferred in from an all male prison facility. And when, quote, she got there after a couple months, she raped 2 other female prisoners and got them both pregnant. Well, how does that happen? Because we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves. We betray the truth right in front of our face. What are we thinking? Where does this end? It ends badly. That's where it ends. It ends so badly. We're sitting here talking about the amphibian race, and I just sit back and I go backwards into the article that I just read. I'm like, everybody is thinking that like transgender rights is the most important thing. And then soon it will be artificial intelligence rights is the most important thing. And then it'll be artificial intelligence, religion is the most important thing. When the most important thing should be getting right with God, accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior, so that He can pull you out of that dumpster fire that is in your soul and cleanse you and make you whole again and worthy to stand in front of the Father, who can't even look at you because of the sin that is upon you. But for so many of you out there, you're so worldly. Everything is about you and your problems and your needs. And boo-hoo, you don't think the way I do. Boo-hoo, you don't feel the emotional pain that I do. Here, as an adult, I want to say this to just the men out there. Suck it up. Suck it up. No one gives a shit if you have a bad day. No one cares. Be a man. Stand up for what's right. Get some damn grit back in your teeth. Get pissed off and angry every now and then. Quit watching all these soap drama channels. Everything's TikTok. Everything is sissified. Hey, you want a good book to read? Here's a good book. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. There's a good book for you to read, men. Be a little stoic every now and then. And for those of you, here's the next one. The Bible. Read that. Start reading in Ecclesiastes, men. And for those of you, especially for some reason, the women who believe that everything is peaceful and lovey-dovey right now, I would love for you, and those of you who believe in the hammer and sickle, to read about the horrors contained in the Black Book of Communism. You can open up to any page in this book and read about an atrocity that communism, socialism has started. And it's coming to America. Let me ask you, friends, Do you see the transgender problems going on in China? No. Do you see that problem going on in Russia? No. Why? Because they're nation building. That's what they're working on right now. They're nation building. They're building up their militaries for the next world war to be able to tear us down. And for centuries, America has been fighting one war after the other. So all we did was we bred warriors nonstop. Men and women providing numerous amounts of ingenuity to this country and philosophy, doctrine that has led us leaping forward in history where no empire's ever gone. We captured the world without having to fight the entire world. And now, because of the good times, we've created weak men and weak women. And even though they're weak in consonants. But they're not weak in their priority. Their priority is to make us weaker so that they can then take advantage and capture all of us. And they're going to use our own pride to do it, our own sins to do it. Because even though there are some of you who are listening who don't believe in God, the devil believes in God. Satanists believe in God. That's actually part of their thing. That's why you see in the pentagram that it is the upside down 5-pointed star. You actually, in order to be a Satanist, have to believe in God. The 2 points of the pentagram is the Antichrist and Satan. The 3 points is the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Because they recognize the powers that they struggle with. But even those of us who are Christians, we don't recognize the power that's right in front of us. This spiritual war that's happening, it's manifesting physically in front of you every day. Man, when I go down to my local Dollar General, in an area that is nothing but cowboy country, they like to consider this area that I'm in to be one of the cowboy capitals of America. 5 minutes down the road, I go to Dollar General. And there's a guy in there that's a transgender. It's everywhere. It has spread to all corners of America now. It's become its own ideology, its own religion, that religion of self. That I can be my own God. I can change my own gender. And if I can change my own gender, then I can change my own destiny and I can rewrite my own wrongs. What we have is a nation of people suffering from mental psychosis. And I think one of the things that we should be bringing back is we should be bringing back mental health institutes. Some people like to call them insane asylums. And those were horrific places. But what are we going to do with these people? Go to San Francisco if you want to see the world's largest mental health resort. They're shambling across the streets everywhere. Got them in Dallas, got them in Fort Worth, got them here in this town now that I'm in. The smaller the town, the more rural the people, the less the problems. The worldly problems sometimes, hopefully, right? That's why in my mind, I can't wait to move this place and leave. I want to move to an area that is cold, hostile, uncomfortable, mountainous, rugged, because for the most part, people who live there just want to be left alone and take care of themselves. And then all those other people with all those other problems, they don't want to live there because that's going to require work to live. That's why they go to the areas, the big cities, the big warm environments, because they can live there 24/7 and people will just hand them out money and drugs like hell in Portland. Now they're literally supplying drugs to the homeless. I think California is doing that too. Whole left coast, man, you guys. For all you who are out there on the on the West Coast from Washington State, Oregon, to California. What are you doing there? Move. But I would live in an RV in the most rural area of northern Arkansas before I would ever live in California. And even though you live in California, let's say you move to one of those nice communities, you're still in California with all the problems that go on there. So, hey, take your life into your own hands. Like I said, I understand people who can't escape it. My heart goes out to you. I pray that the blood of Jesus Christ sits upon you every night and protects you. And you need to make sure that you're doing that too, because you're living in the land of the radicals now. That, it's frustrating because the word radical used to mean for us, for all Americans, for our founding fathers were the radicals. They were the domestic extremists. By God, they were the men that a king feared. Now look at us. We're the laughing stock of the world. So it's Pride Month. Happy Reprobate Month to all of you out there who care. Unreal. You get your entire month to yourself. What about Christ Month, huh? Do we get one of those? No. Because we don't celebrate Jesus Christ in this country anymore. We celebrate this. But you know what? There's a movement going on out there. Bud Light saw it. Target saw it. And what a shame. I go into Target because my wife and I typically use Target to get the kids' clothes because it's better than shopping at Walmart. But at this rate, I'm almost going to be exclusively shopping from either Academy or Tractor Supply. Or, I don't know, maybe Cabela's. It's like everywhere you turn, like, oh, this place. I can at least go to this place and get good food, and I don't have to listen to all this crap about people's feelings and what they think they are. I can just have food. Or I can just get clothes. I can just get dog food and chicken feed. But no. Transgender this, rainbow flag that, non-binary drag performer. Which, by the way, did you know that the Pentagon recently just canceled its drag queen performance? The Pentagon. I know some of you idiots in the Pentagon. Some of you guys are awesome. Some of you are idiots. Of all the places, the Pentagon, one of the most feared locations in the world, you were going to have a drag queen performance? Let me ask something. I'm going to get really, really personal. For all you in the Army, how does that make you feel? To be downgraded, to no longer the most feared Army in the world? Or the Navy? How does it make some of you sailor boys feel? I mean, if the rumors weren't bad enough about you sailors, well, now we have that's happening at the Pentagon, hosted by your chiefs of staff, your highest ranking muckety mucks. What about the Air Force? You're almost just as bad as the freaking Navy, I guess, on that part, aren't you? Air Force was the first one who went full satanic. Air Force was the first one who started to use witchcraft. Literal witchcraft. Look it up. Started in the 1940s and 50s. Coasties, keep riding those waves, guys. Don't worry about what all these other people are doing. Marine Corps. Is this what Chesty Puller meant? Is this what Dan Daly meant to you? Is this what all those wars that we fought and died for on all those foreign beaches, is this what that meant to you? That blood stripe that's sitting on your hip? I'm disgusted to call myself a veteran at times because of the horrible way that not only we veterans are being treated, but the way that my current military is being treated. My Marine Corps, that's my Marine Corps. Those are my Marines. Even though I'm out, those are still my Marines because every one of them is a brother. And to see them to no longer be considered the most feared asset that the U.S. military has, until you get down to the small operational units like your Navy SEALs, your Rangers, and then you have your special operations, special forces guys in the Army. You know, until you get down to those really small particular groups, it was the United States Marine Corps infantry that you did not want unleashed upon your country, because we're coming there to collect skulls. We're not coming there to hang drapes like the Army does. We're not coming there to do a flyby and drop leaflets of Lunchables on top of you like the Air Force will. We're coming there to burn your city down. How dare you get us called upon on you? But I can't even say that anymore. The world doesn't even think that anymore. And what do we have to show for it? Look what's happening in Ukraine. We are sponsoring a terrorist organization in Ukraine, funding that's coming out of the Pentagon. So Pentagon, let me get a bit of prophecy for you. If you do not turn back from your wicked ways, your beloved high places in the Pentagon will be burnt down by a holy and righteous God, a wrathful God. There hasn't been a military in the world, a nation in the world who hasn't felt the wrath of God. You're going to have a wake-up call one day. You thought 9/11 was bad. Wait till the wrath of God comes down upon you, Pentagon. I still remember my oath when I took it to defend our country, our Constitution, our way of life from all its foreign and domestic with my life. That's a blood oath. At 18 years old, I signed on the dotted line, willing to give my life for my country. Now look at us. You laugh at us. You spit upon everything that we held most sacred and dear. That esprit de corps that made us different, made us unique. That we said God was on our side because we're a Christian nation. Are we still? Is the military backed by a Christian nation? Is the military led by Christian men? Last call of anguish to all of you, you chaplains in the military. What's the newest thing? Interfaith chaplains? Where's your righteousness and your anger? Where is your vindicta? Because we don't hear a word from you. The quietest of the group, the men of the cloth, hiding under their pews, hiding behind their pulpits, still collecting that officer's pay, though, aren't you? How many of you are standing up for God? How many of you are rebuking this devilish authority that has been bestowed upon you? Your superiors making you go against your oath to the Lord. Where are you? Until you suppose, I guess, until you come out from behind the shadows, you are all cowards. Strangely, because I wanted to become a chaplain before I got out of law enforcement, though I almost got laughed at for it. Because we need spiritual leaders. We need men who can lead men. A chaplain This is a person who's supposed to offer spiritual care in a particular setting, either clinical, law enforcement, prison institutions, military. What are the qualities that make a good chaplain now, huh? What's the role of a chaplain at this point in time in our military? Do you not have a voice? Do you not have a say? Or are you just an empty title? For some of you, I hope that cross that you wear around your neck burns into your skin until you're reminded of what you're supposed to be standing up for, the souls that you're supposed to be saving. God have mercy upon us. Pastors, stand up. Call them out. Call out the other ones while you're there, too. You know, we all have a hand in this problem. From the pastors, the reverends, the chaplains, any spiritual minister that's out there preaching the word of God, trying to save souls, whatever title that you give yourself or whatever title people give you, it's really irrelevant. Isn't it? Your title, it's really irrelevant. Working for the kingdom, working to save souls, going out there to proclaim the gospel, preaching about the repentant blood of Jesus Christ. That's all that really matters. Because let me tell you something. What they call you is the enemy. What this world sees is a troublemaker. And I like that title. That's what my Lord was called, a troublemaker. But he was righteous and true, and he still is. So, to all you hungry confessors of the cloth out there, to all you men who want to put on the full armor of God, preach the holy word, you better be prepared. Because this world is going to descend upon you and all the power that it possesses, all the power that the dragon has given this world. And you'll be called the enemy. And you'll be put on those lists. And your voice will be silenced. But once again, I ask this question to some of you pastors out there wearing your $3,000 silk three-piece suits. Which one of you right now are prepared to go to Beijing and to start preaching on the streets? Which one of you right now are prepared to go into North Korea, start doing baptisms? If you're not willing to go there, what are you willing to do when communism is here? They have underground churches in China. My wife and I have spoken to some of the members of these churches. They're hunted by their own people because of their faith in Jesus. They don't go out to conquer. They don't steal. They don't kill. They don't destroy. They don't maim. They don't target innocent people. They don't start world wars. They're trying to baptize people to save souls, and they're considered to be terrorists. Let that sink in, because our government's quickly heading that route. There's a warning of a major cyber attack that could be happening soon. Here's some good advice to you. How to prepare for a cyber attack. And a few quick, simple ways. Have cash on hand. Have coins on hand. Money is still going to be considered money to some people. Have items to barter. Make sure you have enough dog food and cat food and food for you. You don't have to buy all this fancy, expensive stuff. Hey, look, I help sell my Patriot supply. I never, ever talk about it. You can go to my website, AmericanVindictaShow.com, and you can go to the link, click on the link that has My Patriot Supply on it, and anything that you buy on there, I get a 10% commission. And in the entire like year and a half or whatever of doing this, I've made 2 sales. 2 sales. I think I've gotten like $240 so far. I never talk about it. And I'll tell you why I don't talk about it. It's overpriced. It's good food. It's very good food, but it's overpriced for anyone sitting here in modernity who's worrying about paying for bills and paying for this and going on vacations. Because, you know, every 10 minutes you turn around, oh, go to this next prophecy meeting, go to this next religious meeting, come see my movie about this, come see Doug's training about that. Everyone's asking you to give you your money. I get it. I get it. That's why we operate almost entirely based off of donations. I don't sell anything. Maybe I should. I don't know. The only thing I'm trying to work on is trying to create some revenue by selling t-shirts or tactics training. But for what I want to give you, it's something that you can use any day at any point in time. Literally every day you go outside and you close that door behind you, you have walked into a war zone, regardless of whether or not you've been shot at yet. Go to crimemappingreport.com. Just look up in your local area the crime stats. Tell me I'm wrong. If you live in a good, safe area, God bless you. Don't leave it. But the darkness will come for you too. And when a cyber attack hits, like this idiot Joe Biden's talked about so many times, a dark winter that's going to happen, nobody will be safe. His ass won't be safe. You won't be safe. That's just the way of the world. That's just reality. I don't think a lot of people have the spine to tell you that. In my industry, within the Christian alternative news, doomsday prepper apparatus, whatever I get lumped into, I would like to say I'm individually unique from a lot of these other guys. And I don't care about anyone's ambitions and what they're trying to promote and what they're trying to sell. Save souls for the kingdom. Help people to survive. That's what I'd like to do. That's my goal. Everyone else can have their own goals. I wish them the best of luck. God be with them. But right now in today's society, going back to the whole food thing, I'm right there with you. How do I pay for the phone bill, the internet bill, the next big shipment of chicken feed? We haven't even gotten into the pigs and the goats and the horses and the cows and all this other stuff. Some of you have large ranches. That's a lot of money to run. Some of you right now have to work a job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. If you are blessed, if God has blessed you with money, more money than you know what to do with, and you help somebody out during these times, you are storing up treasures in heaven. My family was recently helped out by a dear sweet sister, Jennifer. And stuff like that gives me more faith that my God is listening, because the body of Christ moved in my desperate hour of need. But I spent many hours on my face, many tears coming from my eyes, pleading to the Heavenly Father, sitting at the throne. And all the enemy told me was I'm doing something wrong. It was me. It was my fault. You could do better. You could go get another job. You could go do this. You could sell this. You could sell that. And all God says is, give your burdens to me. Just give them to me. Why is that so hard? I wrote it down for you. It's somewhere in the Bible. It's not that hard. But the anxiety as a man to say that I need to supply my family's needs. I need to be out there getting all the work done. It's me, I. The strength of my arm and my back, I can get something done. Well, I can't anymore, especially not with my back. I feel like an old man. I have to wear a back brace half the time or walk with a freaking staff. Strange. I don't know how that came about or why it came about. Just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm only 36 years old and I have some of the most worst back pains I've ever experienced. And then on other days, I can deadlift over 600 pounds. I can hold 700 pounds in my hand with timed holds. I'm getting ready for another strongman competition here soon. And then on other days, my back is destroyed to the point that I can't stand. So if you're anything like me, you better stay yourself in shape because you never know when you're going to need that strength, huh? But that reliability and strength, as many of you have probably been aware, the older you get, goes away. So rely upon that strength and stability in the Lord more. I would never count the Lord out for any miracle that he could give us with bestowing power upon us. Ask and you shall receive. Isn't that what Jesus said? So with the whole My Patriot Supply thing, great company, great food, top of the line. It's what I have sitting up in my attic and in other locations. But if you can't afford that, man, go to Walmart, go to Dollar General, go to Sam's Club, buy canned food. You can do this. You're not alone in preparing. So make sure that you do what you can. Every person individually, think about this, okay? You need a gallon of water a day to drink, possibly a gallon of water a day just to be able to clean pots and pans, and then probably close to the same thing to be able to cleanse yourself and bathe. And you might not use all that water. All right. I suggest buy the 3 gallons or buy a gallon jug. You can buy packs of water if you want, individual water bottles. That's going to get really hard to move. Really hard to move. And I would still have some of that on hand. But for stuff that you need, that you can put inside your house, just go with 1 gallon milk jugs worth of water. You know, let that suffice until it doesn't. Have the ability to purify your water. When the lights go out, dude, it's done. It's done. Your microwave's not going to work. Your refrigerator's going to suck in about 2 days. So all that food that you got is going to either spoil or has to be cooked. And then what do? Those of you who live in suburbs and in cities, do you have a garden? Be prepared. Think wisely. This is the time to act. All right. Let's hear what Jack Posobiec had to say. Revolver News. Documents prove the government is using Antifa to purge the military. The first thing every revolutionary regime does when it comes to power. Oh, Lord, help us. They canceled Tucker. Now they're coming for us. But you can fight back. Cancel Fox News and instead click here to subscribe to Revolver. I like Revolver News. So a recent revelation has exposed a Department of Homeland Security anti-terrorism program that has been misused to target conservatives, you and me, through 80 grants and $39.6 million of taxpayers' money. The Biden administration, along with Secretary Mayorkas, I hate that little words. Mayorkas is delegating their efforts to wrongly associate conservatives with terrorists. The program is structured like a pyramid and aims to trace the path of a right-winger turning into a self-proclaimed radicalized domestic terrorist. It begins with influences like Fox News and Christian Broadcasting Network. And here it is, the pyramid of far-right radicalization. At the lowest tier, we got Fox News, American Conservatives Union Foundation, the Heritage Foundation, the NRA, JBS, Christian Broadcast News, Republican Party, Prager University. And then at the second tier, you got Make America Great Again hats, Breitbart, Proud Boys, Prager U again, Turning Point USA, 3%ers, the Punisher skull with the thin blue line on it, which that's all of us cops, you ignorant wretches. Oh my God. InfoWars, and then the Gadsden flag and Come and Take It flag. And then on up, it literally goes into white supremacy, and then the third tier, and then the fourth tier is more white supremacy. Oh my Lord. The University of Dayton, one of the most radicalized groups around, has received a substantial grant of $352,000 to hunt down Fox News and CBN viewers. They were awarded this taxpayer-funded grant from Biden's DHS, even after submitting that absurd and fraudulent pyramid scheme graphic that attacks half of America for no reason whatsoever. Well, hold on. You say that it attacks half of America for no reason whatsoever. There is a reason. There is a reason. Joe Biden said it himself. Half of America are domestic violent extremists because we believed in Donald Trump. Half of America. So half of America is the problem. Hey, oh, by the way, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black. Remember that one? When are people going to call this guy out? You know, since the Republicans have taken over in power, there has been nothing brought up to take Joe Biden out of power. Nothing. The fix is in. The fix is in. Let me tell you who the real white supremacists are. I'll label them. I'll label just a few of them. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Christopher Wray, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, George Soros, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Some of you will go off into that whole Jewish conspiracy thing. I really don't care. Knock yourselves out. The real extremists are old white people, for the most part, coming from the established Democratic Party and those of the far left. Hitler and Mussolini were far left. Joseph Stalin was far left. The Marxists, the Leninists, they're all far left. And for the majority, they're all white. All the people who created this are white. But why aren't we talking about this? Because they're using the power that they have in government to define who their enemies are. Because the courts are in on it, the juries are in on it, that they get to go into the Supreme Court hearings. The people who write the news are in on it. Operation Mockingbird, the CIA, the intelligence agencies in on it. The Pentagon is in on it. I mean, you talk about white supremacists. You know, just when I think about this, like, can you please tell me which one of the Ku Klux Klan guys who believes like Adolf Hitler is their Jesus Christ reincarnated that is participating at the drag queen story hour with their kids? Or which white supremacists decided to go out to the Black Lives Matter rallies and burn down cities? Oh, because the Democratic Party created the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan is a socialist movement. Oh, well, once again, history. You don't know it if you don't read it. And you won't read it because these people got in power and they're changing history, like the Nazis did, like the Maoists did, like the Leninists and the Marxists did, like Stalin did. I'm going to make myself angry. All right. Last but not least, intelligence officials say that U.S. has retrieved craft of non-human origin. A former intelligence official turned whistleblower has given Congress and the intelligence community Inspector General extensive classified information about a deeply covert program that he says possesses retrieved, intact, and partially intact craft of non-human origin. As I read this, I have to ask myself, is this a psyop? Is this really a psyop that I'm reading? Well, let's continue. Let's continue the psyop. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures, reported here for the first time on thedebrief.org. The information, he says, has been illegally withheld from Congress, and he filed a complaint alleging that he suffered illegal retaliation for his confidential disclosures. Other intelligence officials, both active and retired, with knowledge of these programs through their work in various agencies, have independently provided similar corroborating information both on and off the record. The whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36, my age, a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, is a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Hey, I know some of those guys. And the National Reconnaissance Office. He served as the Reconnaissance Office's representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force from 2019 to 2021. From late 2021 to July 2022, he was the NGA's co-lead for UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Analysis, and its representative to the task force. The task force was established to investigate what were once called unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, and are now officially called unidentified anomalous phenomena. The task force was led by the Department of the Navy under the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. It has since been reorganized and expanded into the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to include investigations of objects operating underwater. Grush said that the recoveries of partial fragments through and up to intact vehicles have been made for decades through the present day by the government, its allies, and defense contractors. Analysis has determined that the objects retrieved are of exotic origin, non-human intelligence, whether extraterrestrial or unknown origin, based on the vehicle morphologies and material science testing and the possession of unique atomic arrangements and radiological signatures. In filing his complaint, Grush is represented by a lawyer who served as the original intelligence community inspector general. We are not talking about prosaic origins or identities, Grush said, referencing information he provided Congress and the current ICIG. The material includes intact and partially intact vehicles. So, right off the bat, pardon my French, but holy shit if this is real. Because what this guy has possession of is either going to get him killed or could get him killed. If you have any reference of materials, include intact and partially intact vehicles of non-terrestrial origin, that means they didn't come from Earth. That means most likely, if you're not there anymore, then you don't have the rights to have this information. So you've been hiding this information. I hope this guy's lawyer is really good, because he's probably going to get nailed to the wall for this. And I pray for our sakes that this guy is honest, that this isn't a psyop. But everything has been in accordance with, I guess, the plan to expose and roll out the extraterrestrial force among us, right? Let's continue. In accordance with protocols, Grush provided the Defense Office of Pre-Publication and Security Review at the Department of Defense with the information he intended to disclose to us. His on-the-record statements were all cleared for open publication on April 4th and 6th of 2023 in documents provided to us. Grush's disclosures and those of non-public witnesses under new protective provisions of the latest Defense Appropriations Bill signal a growing determination by some in the government to unravel a colossal enigma with national security implications that has bedeviled the military and tantalized the public going back to World War II and beyond. For many decades, the Air Force carried out a disinformation campaign to discredit reports of sightings of unexplained objects. Well, that was that was the beginnings of Roswell, that the Air Force started with that whole thing. And in 1994, the declassified information from that office came out and said that there is no there with UFO sightings and alien sightings, according to the Air Force. And then the UAP comes out. The ATIP comes out and says, oh no, there is something there, has always been there. So we have a public history of the government lying to us consistently for our benefits, right? Is this another lie? I have to ask myself that. Is this another lie? Everyone's going to say Operation Blue Beam, right? But Blue Book is what they used to censor, harass, threaten, kill, and sue to oblivion anyone who had this knowledge. So if they weren't ready to disclose that knowledge for the 30 years that Blue Book was operational and then closed and then finally disclosed and declassified, then why are they ready for it now? Why are they ready to give us these sightings and briefings now? Has to make you think. Carl E. Nell, a recently retired Army colonel and current aerospace executive who was the Army's liaison for the UAP task force from 21 to 22, worked with Grush, said that characterizes Grush as beyond reproach. Christopher Mellon, who spent nearly 20 years in the U.S. intelligence community and served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, has worked with Congress for years on unidentified aerial phenomena. Quote, a number of well-placed current and former officials have shared detailed information with me regarding this alleged program, including insights into the history, governing documents, and the location where a craft was allegedly abandoned and recovered. However, it is a delicate matter getting this potentially explosive information into the right hands for validation. This is made harder by the fact that, rightly or wrongly, a number of potential sources do not trust the leadership of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office established by Congress. Could that be because they're satanically controlled and are more worried about drag queen shows than, aliens? But some insiders are now willing to take the risk of coming forward for the first time with knowledge of these recovery programs. Jonathan Gray is a generational officer of the United States intelligence community with a top secret clearance, who currently works for the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, NASAC, where the analysis of UAP has been his focus. Previously, he had experience serving as a private aerospace and Department of Defense Special Directives Task Force. Quote, the non-human intelligence phenomena is real. We are not alone. Retrievals of this kind are not limited to the United States. This is a global phenomenon, and yet a global solution continues to elude us. Why do they keep saying this is a non-human intelligence phenomena? Why don't you just say aliens? Why don't you just say gray aliens, insectolant aliens, the tall white Nordic aliens, the aliens from the movie Aliens? God, please, no xenomorphs. That movie has frightened me since I was a child, and I still watch it. What about reptilians or Bigfoot or blah, blah, blah? Why don't you say the race of the aliens? Because if there's so many races identified, if there's so many crashed and recovered specimens of these craft identified, well, who was piloting them? Who built them? Who commissioned the build? Who recovered it? What country? Let us know. Russia, from an old KGB white paper that I have, said back in the mid-90s that Ivan and his platoon of buddies shot down a flying saucer, and then 5 gray aliens emerged and turned like 20 of the guys into petrified stone. And then they all linked hands and formed into this big spherical illuminating bubble and then just disappeared. So, where's the truth at? I don't trust anything of what I'm reading. I really don't. And I say that because as someone who knows this industry, they tell you only what they want you to know. Obviously, right? And what they want you to know is wrote up, it's rehearsed, it's researched, it's approved by the lawyers, it's approved by the command, it gets approved by all the higher ranking intelligence communities going on up the food chain. And then the last guy or gal that says stamp approved, submit it, let it be known to the public. You know how many things they have redacted from that? Once again, that's why you get this type of information, the non-human intelligence phenomena. And why does it have to be phenomena? If it's aliens flying around in a spaceship, what's phenomenal about that? Besides the fact it's freaking aliens in a spaceship, right? But what's the phenomena? Is that the Skinwalker Ranch stuff? Is that the phenomena, the poltergeist stuff that happens? All the invisible entities and all this other crap? Is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about we're going to have like a laser space war with invading little green men? Like, just say what you say. Say what you mean. There's zero transparency in anything that I'm reading right now. It's pissing me off just to read it. Grush says that an intelligence strategist with multiple responsibilities analyzed unidentified aerial phenomena reports, boosted congressional leadership and intelligence gaps in understanding, adept staff officer and strategist. He was a total force and integrator with innovative solutions and actionable results, yada, 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 smoke and fire and mirrors. And, I just, what do you think? Leave it down in the comment section. Let's have this argument. Are aliens real? Here, debate this. Here's a quote. His assertion concerning the existence of a terrestrial arms race occurring sub rosa over the past 80 years focused on reverse engineering technologies of unknown origin is fundamentally correct, as is the indisputable realization that at least some of these technologies of unknown origin derive from non-human intelligence, said Carl Nell, retired Army colonel who worked with Grush on the UAP task force. So was Bob Lazar right? Who knows? More to come. Guys, that's all I got for you. Sorry for my language. It was a little colorful today. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting this show. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, send this out to your friends. Listen to this crazy redneck that's out of Texas. And, guys, other than that, it's getting weirder out there. Make sure you're prepared for the weirdness. Stay frosty. That's all I got. See you next time.
Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum has said, "You will own nothing and you will love it." And that's represented by what's going on across the planet today, where the economy of the world is in free fall, and nowhere is it more in evidence than with our own President Biden deliberately trying to sabotage what we have. Access to food, other resources. So Americans are in a unique position, really for the first time in our history. We're going to have to provide for ourselves or subject ourselves to the whim of the government. Do you really trust a government to feed you that left 1,000 Americans behind enemy lines in Afghanistan? I don't think so. So where do you go? When you ask the question, who's the best prepper out there today? There's only one answer. Ready-Made Resources and Robert Griswold. I call him King Prepper, and that's how a lot of people think of him. You have everything there you'd want, from night vision to storable food, how to prepare cooking in emergency situations, books and videos on how to prepare alternative energy, communication, first aid that you wouldn't think of, natural antibiotics, you name it. Bob has it. Now, here's the good thing about Bob Griswold that no one else does but him. You don't have to buy anything to talk to him. If you're not sure where to start with your preparation, no obligation phone call directly to Bob. You can talk to him for free. Most people will charge you an arm and a leg for a half-hour conversation. That's not Bob Griswold. He cares about helping America get prepared. Go to readymaderesources.com, or you can call the number directly at 800-627-3809. Again, that contact information, readymaderesources.com, for the best prepping outfit in the country, or call Bob Griswold directly, 800-627-3809.
Mountain State Survival covers your basis for your planning, prepping, evacuation, bugging in, or bugging out needs. They carry anything from educational material, camping supplies, emergency services supplies, food, first aid, survival kit and equipment, shooting gear, survival gear, tactical gear. They carry it all. They got it in stock. Give Mountain State Survival a ring. That's mountain-state-survival.com. Get this type of supplies while you still can. 304
517-6935. Mountain State Survival is one of the only places that I know of currently that is still carrying the delicious Peak Refuel meal that is ready to eat. It's personally the only thing that I eat at this point whenever I go out camping, whenever we have any type of emergency or disaster situation. That is the meal that I stick with, and you can find that at mountain-state-survival.com. Use REKKR5 for a 5% discount on your overall purchase. That's REKKR 5. mountainstatesurvival.com. This show on the Heroes Nation app. Heroes Nation is the Heroes Nation app you can download in the App Store. It's up and coming. They got a lot of cool information on there. That is the main backup site so far for the American Vindicta show. We'll also have some stuff on there that won't be on YouTube. It won't be on Rumble. It'll either be only on the gsradio.net, who is the host of the American Vindicta show, or it will only be an exclusive for Heroes Nation. And with that, I mean, stuff that we're doing with the cave exploration, with the archaeological stuff. I'm going to start getting into a lot of paranormal talks and, coming at that from my law enforcement and Christian perspective, and be having guests on, and that will be exclusive to Heroes Nation. So make sure that you give them some love. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for supporting me. God bless you, and have a good day.
Thank you.